Courtney.
Continuing on this issue, research shows that black college graduates are more likely to take on student debt than white college graduates. And according to a recent report from the Brookings Institute, that disparity in debt more than triples in the years following graduation, obviously a time when it's important to save and lay the groundwork for retirement. What would you do to close this gap?
So again, the Higher Education Authorization Act is a 5-year sort of farm bill for higher ed, which we have not taken up and passed since 2008. And again, what I would say is that we need to go upstream in terms of when kids are making their decision at the time they're going to college initially, so that you don't have outcomes like the ones that you just described. Again, you know, getting better materials and information in terms of transparency about what the true net cost of college is, what the value of the degree is in terms of workforce. These are issues that young people and certainly first in the family and minority families don't have enough information, and that's where you end up, as I said, with these bad outcomes. We need to do a comprehensive higher ed reauthorization that deals with not just debt management, but also putting pressure on colleges to do better in terms of their tuitions. And you have a big handle with Title IV programs like Pell Grants and Stafford to hold over colleges. But we also need to help young people understand better what their choices are. And it may not involve college, as Dan said.
Ms. Novak?
Two things. I think we have to recognize that college isn't for everybody. And what I mean is that we've been telling our students, and as a former professor at Eastern Connecticut State University here, I've seen it. We've been telling everybody, you must go to college, you must get a liberal arts degree. The reality is we have some students that want to work with their hands or have technical degrees. We need more programs to enable students to do what they want to do, to go into those different areas. I've worked with first-generation students, and they're often at a loss as to what we need to do. Much more guidance needed there. I'm not very happy with the direction of the federal government when it gets involved in the federal process. We see bureaucracies to the point where today, believe it or not, we have more bureaucrats on college campuses than we have educators. We're going the wrong direction. The bureaucracy that we've created with the federal government has decreased the level of education in this country, and I've seen it myself personally. Okay.
Mr. Pelto?
I have to say, I find the comments of both colleagues on my immediate right and left rather offensive about somehow if we just tell children that they don't need to go to college, it will solve the problem. In fact, over the course of the next 20, 40, 60, 80 years, being able to deal with a variety of different jobs and a variety of different professions, let alone having our children be able to follow their passions, is exactly what we should be doing. And that is, we can come up with mechanisms to provide affordable college. The federal and state governments could be adding money to higher education instead of taking money away. We could be talking about mechanisms to apply for low-interest loans as opposed to high-interest loans. We would be able to have a system in which where the children worked gave them an opportunity to be forgiven of those loans before they go on to other careers. But to somehow suggest that the answer is to tell children not to go to college, I find particularly offensive. Of course there are children who don't need to go to college and some who don't want to go to college, and there should be alternatives for them as well. But every child who wants to go to college, our society should be able to ensure that they can afford to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Reale?
Well, I think that's kind of a mischaracterization, because the bottom line is we're not saying don't go to college. We are saying go to college if there's a realistic chance you have a way of making money with that degree and repaying the loan. The bottom line is going to college is a business decision, just like buying a home is to an extent a business decision. There needs to be a realistic way you can, and I don't care if you want to go for history, if you can make money with that, if you have a job lined up, good for you. The problem we have is we will guarantee everyone a Bachelor of Arts in basket weaving, and we will defraud students in the process. What offends me is the prospect that instead of going after some of these universities for the fraud they've perpetuated on many in this room, I would imagine, we're saying, let's refinance the fraud so that way we ratify the debt and you now have no recourse. That's what offends me.
All right.
Can I just have one real quick?
If you could
I'll be very quick about this.
Thank you.
When the federal government took over the student loan program, we saw cost escalate well above the cost of living. What we need to do is have competition in the marketplaces to force schools to be good and to force schools to be efficient in what they do. When there is a monopoly on the student loan programs, what have we seen? Literally thousands of % increase. We see UConn students today facing increases, big increases, in order to graduate. We need to get competition in the marketplace. That's the only thing, the free enterprise system, that's ever brought a country out of poverty. It can work here too.
All right, I want to get to more questions. The next question is to you, Ms. Novak.